Hello, hello. How are you guys? It's been a while. Um, Holidays and health issues and whatever and whatnot. So I have several topics that I've been wanting to discuss lately, but I will not be discussing any of them tonight. I want to make sure I'm coming through. All right, looks like I am. So I was viewing this debate, if you want to call it that, and it was just irritating me so much. I just had to get on and address this. So it is Jeff Doherty versus Andrew Wilson. Is Christianity true? This is on the Crucible Network. And let me show you this. So if you don't know, Andrew Wilson is the guy that Matt Dillahunty rage quit on a little over a year ago. And if you look up analytics of YouTube, Matt's rage quit really increased the numbers on his channel. So I don't think Matt did the right thing. There's also a video of a debate teacher who is also a Christian that addresses that debate and thinks of the pros and cons, or brings up the pros and cons of their approaches. And he agrees with me that Matt should not have rage quit. So go down here. There's Debate University. This is something taught by Andrew Wilson. And he says, are you sick and tired of not being able to defend your positions? Tired of your arguments getting undermined by slimy debate tactics? With the Verbal Combat course, you'll learn the core ideas, arguments, and techniques required to dominate any argument or informal debate. So right there, he's acknowledging that he has no expertise. So why would you learn from this guy? You're just gonna learn how to yell and scream. That's all you're gonna do. And indeed, that's what we'll see. So I want to go back to Andrew's intro, if I can find it.
Of the Shrouded Turin is that it's actually the burial shroud of
emerge and maintain an uprising.
And you're good to go.
Antithesis, I think, and march against the people that want
these, which were allies, when they discovered say for incredible claim.
As
his lives.
And I'm not about white supremacy. I
in my head as well.
Cannibalistic vampires. And with that,
okay. So I didn't listen to all of Mr. Doherty's intro, but because I don't need to. But so this is supposed to be your opening arguments. So Jeff Doherty is taking the position that no, Christianity is not true. Andrew Wilson is taking the position that Christianity is true. Now, I do have this sped up, so if it's too fast for you, I have to slow it down. But let's listen to Andrew's opening defending, is Christianity true?
That's all I got. I'm ready to roll. I mean, you guys are big time.
For your opening, before you close it off, can you expand? Just take 2 minutes real quick and expand.
No. The moderator should be jumping in right now and saying this is not question and answer session. This is not back and forth dialogue. This is your opening. You do not address the other person. So strike one on Andrew for not knowing how debates go.
2 minutes left. Exactly.
Yeah. Can you just take 2 minutes and expand for me very quickly in your opening about Atlantis a little bit and the origins from Atlantis, just so I have that in my head as well?
Okay. Why? What does the origins of Atlantis have anything to do with the truth of Christianity? Now, maybe this guy brought it up as an intro. I don't know. But Andrew apparently didn't prepare an opening. He's just winging it.
I don't really understand why you would want me to do that. It's not the point of the debate, and I'm not really prepared to talk about that.
Well, I just
why-
want
well, yeah, I don't know.
because I
What
want to
is-
know how Arianism ties into Christianity exactly. That's all.
I don't think it does at all. I think they are they're antithesis. I think probably we're going to come down to a battle. I don't think it has to be a kinetic battle, because I think if all of us heathens get together, I would define Aryans as white heathens, heathen being somebody that doesn't worship the Bible God. And, I'm not about white supremacy. I'm a white guy, so I want to optimize my race. But if the white heathens, the black heathens, the brown heathens, the red heathens, and the other heathens get together,
Let's leave them out of it for YouTube purposes. No, I'm just kidding.
and if we can get together and march against the people that want to put us under their fear and guilt, blood magic, Judeo-Christian control matrix, I don't think there'll be a fight, because outside of Andrew, all I run into is cowards. No one else will debate me. So I think they'll probably retreat. I think that might have answered your question, Andrew.
Okay.
Nothing to do with the truth of Christianity.
Andrew?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could tie it in.
Well, we can get into that. We can talk about that more. And Andrew, let me restart the clock. I'll put 7 minutes on the clock, and you're good to go.
Yeah, so I spent a long time. I do this with every debate opponent, researching Mr. Doherty's claims, everything from Atlantis to Hyperborea to all of the.
Okay, you don't need to read Mr. Doherty's claims, except when they relate to Christianity and the truth or falsity of the proposition Christianity is true.
Incredible claim. We talk about people who say for incredible claims it requires incredible evidence. It's pretty amazing how light he is on the evidence for his claims. But here, let me dive into my opening. The story of Christianity needs to be told correctly, and in order to do this, we really have to understand its past, present, and future. Christian roots start in the cosmos themselves, in the star system of Alpha Draconis, Andromeda, and the Zeta Reticuli systems. These star systems originally held species, which were allies, when they discovered Symptech and Zeta Reticuli. Christian incredible claim. We talk about people who say, yeah, I was just wondering if you could tie it in.
Well, we can get it.
So I was wondering, is he reading what Mr. Doherty has said?
Into that, we can talk about that more. And Andrew, let me restart the clock. I'll put 7 minutes on the clock, and you're good to go.
Yeah, so I spent a long time. I do this with every debate opponent, researching Mr. Doherty's claims, everything from Atlantis to Hyperborea to all of the incredible claim. We talk about people who say for incredible claims it requires incredible evidence. It's pretty amazing how light he is on the evidence for his claims. But here, let me dive into my opening. The story of Christianity needs to be told correctly, and in order to do this, we really have to understand its past, present, and future. Christian roots start in the cosmos themselves, in the star system of Alpha Draconis, Andromeda, and the Zeta Reticuli systems. These star systems originally held species.
What the hell is he talking about? He said my opening, but this sounds like something Mr. Doherty might have written if he's pro-Atlantis and all that.
Which were allies when they discovered Symptech and faster than light speeds. They formed what is referred to as the Galactic Federation of Light, named after light speed. The Alpha Draconians were the first to discover Earth, and they made a hybrid species out of primitives who were here to do work for them. The head of the Alpha Draconians was known only as the Demiurge, and this being enslaved all of the hybrids in what was called Hyperborea in the nation of Atlantis. After an uprising assisted by the Andromedans, the people of Atlantis freed themselves from the Demiurge, but what had happened in reality was the Andromedans wanted to have sex with.
So he claimed this was his opening, and it's obvious from the way Jeff Doherty is nodding. This must be things that Jeff Doherty asserts. Nothing to do with the truth and falsity of Christianity being true. So what Andrew is doing here is poisoning the well and losing my thought, fallacy where you ad hominem. He's trying to say, well, because he believes these other things, which we consider boneheaded, why should we take his opinion on Christianity being true? He could be entirely boneheaded about tons of stuff, but be correct that Christianity isn't true. So again, Andrew Wilson is teaching debates. Okay.
Hybrid women known as humans. So they back the humans in their rebellion. The book of Enoch speaks of this and the offspring of these people known as the Nephilim. Now, the Andromedans, known only as fallen angels to the hybrid human race, taught to them technologies, including a lost branch of philosophy, which included symbology and the ability of sympnosis, or the idea of matriarchy above all else. The Atlanteans were split in this philosophy of symbology, with many symbologists backing the demiurge and in a move towards egalitarianism, while the competing philosophy of patrology sought to destroy them. A war was fought, a great cataclysm happened due to the unearthing of neutrino bombs, which swallowed Atlantis and destroyed Hyperborea. The bloodlines of the Aryans, which still currently exist in Iran, the Middle East, became retained in the philosophy of symbology, while later Saxon and pagans retained patrology. The reason Christian consciousness or Christ consciousness is so rooted in the Saxon Anglo bloodlines is because it is resistant to egalitarian nature of the demiurge, with even the Old Testament in Genesis warning about the corrupted nature of the female hybrids, explaining women will want to not obey their husbands but must. The symbologists retained the commandment of the demiurge and maintained that matriarchy or egalitarianism is the way and that patrology needs to be wiped out. Christians have secretly known this for 2,000 years, which is why the Apostle Paul said women need to shut up in church, and why Peter said the same thing, that women need to submit. Jeff here is part of the sympnosis, being of thought. He is a gatekeeper attempting to destroy all patrologists who bring good news of patriarchy, and he says it's subversive. Christians, since the beginning, have fought against his kind and the true demiurge, which he serves, while he claims we serve the demiurge. He does this because he mixes up his meanings and understanding of the Star Fathers, who seeded this information into human DNA in our very blood. The Star Fathers still give us revelation to this day about the demiurge and those like Jeff and the rest of the symbologists who want to subvert the natural order for higher thinking and egalitarianism. I'm happy now to get in the rest of what the Star Fathers, Hyperborea, Atlantis, and the rest of the deep-rooted lore which informs Christianity at its root. Jeff asked, what does Christianity mean? And I'm happy to get into that with him. Is Jesus real objectively? I don't even know what he means by that. Every scholar agrees that Jesus Christ existed. God accepted.
I don't know for a fact, but I know some of the people that Wilson associates with, and I know they deny evolution is a science and a fact and a theory. So I'm really wondering if Andrew Wilson is going to be disingenuous and say, well, all the scholars say Jesus existed, but going to deny that 99.9% of scientists, both within the field of biology and outside the field of biology, agree that evolution is a fact and a robust theory. So if anyone knows the answer to that and has a link to where he states that evolution is false, please let me know. Maybe he doesn't. Now, addressing this stance of whether Jesus existed or not, he's also being, I would call him out on being disingenuous in that, sure, they agree some guy existed and somehow ticked off the Romans, or maybe mistakenly, the Romans thought he was something else, and they crucified him. And that's it. That's pretty much all the scholarly consensus on the matter is. Not what he said, not what he did, not who his followers necessarily were. That's all, Andrew. You got nothing. But they universally either agree that Jesus was not the Jesus of the Bible, or that cannot be confirmed. So they all agree on that, but you're going to disagree with them on that part, aren't you, Andrew? Also, I wanted to know, Andrew, in his debate with Matt Dillahunty, he said he didn't want to do the God not real debate. He didn't want to do this because it's boring. And oh, by the way, it's really boring. That's pretty much his words. But he's going to do it here with some guy that apparently believes in a lot of stuff. I don't know.
Human sacrifice? Nope, not true either. He destroyed Earth in a temper tantrum? Also not true. Psalms 82 does not say there's lots of gods. Jesus at his birth by some rape of Mary? Totally absurd. No evidence for this whatsoever. Christianity is communism. This is a really old talking point by anti-Christians. Jesus in the company of a naked boy, so what? Means nothing. Jesus was not a Pharisee. There's no evidence he was a Pharisee. Jeff says, appeal to common sense. Appeal to common sense. He was a Pharisee. Nowhere is it says that Jesus Christ was a Pharisee. He was really mean to Pharisees. Really didn't like Pharisees very much. He says the nation wasn't founded Christian. Not true. There was tens of thousands of contributors to the Constitution of the United States. Very few at the top were deists. Okay, all the contributors were a mixture of three different Protestant sects. He says, we won't surrender. Who is we? Who won't you surrender to, Jeff? Is it the Jews, Jeff? You don't want to surrender to the Jews? Isn't that what it really is, right? So as I went through my entire story here and explained it to you, right, front to back with the demiurge, Atlantis, all of this rooted, I would like you to disprove any of my claims because they fall right in line with your claims. right, of your tale of the origin story. And I'm happy to refute any of the things that you have a problem with when it comes to Christianity. With that, I'll yield the rest of my time.
Well, that was
Okay. In a debate, in the openings, each side presents their arguments. Andrew did not really present an argument that defends Christianity being true at all. He would, if his other, I'm going to have to go back and listen to this guy's intro. But I know if I did my intro and Andrew presented something like that, he'd lose right off the bat. He'd lose so many points in a professionally scored debate. So I'm going to have to go back and listen to this guy. Because I have no idea what Andrew's talking about. Here we go. I think this is it.
Who would define Christianity as?
you know, when things get
Okay.
you know, he's taking. We know how to do this. You've done debates. You know, the floor is yours. Destiny's crown. Destiny's scared. We know how to do this. You've done debates. I've done debates. Andrew.
Sorry, Alex. You don't even know how to moderate a debate. So what kind of debates have you done?
Like I said, he's taking Destiny's crown. Destiny's scared of Andrew Wilson. All right, let's start. You know, the floor is yours.
I'm not scared of Andrew Wilson. Debate me, Andrew. Bring that crap. You'll lose. You don't win by over-talking your opponent.
I'm first, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I disagree with this. I think Andrew should have gone first because I do know I kind of watched the beginning of Mr. Doherty's opening, and he said that he just wanted to know what Andrew meant by Christianity. So really, Andrew should have gone first because, yes, being the pro side, you should outline the parameters of what you're discussing. That way you don't talk past each other, and it helps the other side not straw man.
Obviously, thanks for being here, and Andrew, thanks for showing up too. And you know, the debate is Christianity true? And I think really the first thing that we have to define, and we'll get to this, I'm sure, when we start talking to each other, is what do we actually mean by Christianity? Because you know, we could be saying Christianity, that's a term that means a lot of things to a lot of people. So I hope we can actually narrow down on what Andrew would define Christianity as. So we'll kind of,
Which is why I should have gone first.
start from there. And then I think once we can define what Christianity is, the second question on my mind is Jesus real, and is he objectively, empirically true and proven and able to be proven true outside of the Bible? You know, I feel like we should be able to have empirical, extra biblical, non-Christian evidence for the relation or for the existence of Jesus, because you know, extraordinary claims do require extraordinary evidence. And I hope that we can find a common source of truth. Now, again, this will go back to what is Christianity, but to me, the common source of truth I hope we could find would be the Bible script itself, the Bible record. And if we could, you know, go to 2 Peter 1:20, kind of a thought that none of the scripture is open to any private interpretation. But a lot of people are running from that now because they don't really want to talk about the Bible because their traditions, even though they call them Christianity, don't really line up. So I think that's a little bit of thing that's going on now, and hope that we can correct that. And you know, things that, you know, I was a Christian for a long time. Why did I leave? Well, I found straight from the Bible itself that, you know, the God of the Bible accepted a human child sacrifice back in Genesis chapter 4. And I believe that the scripture shows that he destroyed earth in what was basically a temper tantrum because humans were choosing the way of heathenry over him. And in Genesis 6, they made up this whole story about angels having sex with women. And that's just an attempt, or a hope, if you will, to cover up the fact that the Bible God wanted to destroy the whole world just because people were rejecting him. Whether the story is true or not, that really doesn't matter there. So this
is another reason Andrew should have gone first, or perhaps Mr. Doherty should have contacted Andrew and asked him what type of Christian he is because there are some Christians that dismiss a lot of the Old Testament. They don't think Adam and Eve existed. They don't think a flood happened. So if Andrew were that type of Christian, this argument wouldn't work against his position. But I think Andrew probably is 100% Bible infallible type. We'll see.
Sons of God thing was made up. I found in Psalm 82 that even though the Bible says there's one God, there's really a lot of gods. I think the Jesus birth, I've talked about this on Coast to Coast AM, that it was a rape of Mary, who was maybe 10, 11, 12 years old at the most. The Bible tells us there's only one sign that would prove that Jesus was real.
Mary could have been raped. but Christianity could still be true.
And that was the sign of Jonah, which had to be 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the earth. I believe he failed that if we just believe in the scripture. Another thing is the sword in the family. Jesus is supposed to be all about, the traditional family is supposed to be the biggest thing, but he said that I haven't come to bring peace but a sword. I want to divide husbands from wives, fathers from sons, mothers from daughters. He also said that I'm the Prince of Peace, but Revelation 19 says that he's coming back with a sword to kill everybody that's not Jewish. So that's very interesting. I think if you look at the book of Acts and other places, Christianity is indistinguishable from communism in the book of Acts and in the Sermon on the Mount. I think we had some interesting things happen at Gethsemane where Jesus was found in the company of a naked boy. I believe that Jesus is proven in the Bible over 33 times to be both a rabbi and a Pharisee. This den of vipers, this money changers thing that the Christian nationalists are all about was really just a red versus blue thing, Protestant versus Catholic thing. And I think this whole idea of a Christian nation is a complete total myth. This nation was not founded as a Christian nation. I think that's provable.
Nothing to do with the truth of Christianity.
And the nationalists and the identityists are talking about taking over the 7 mountains of society. Well, those have already been conquered by the parent of Judaism. So I don't understand what the big deal is unless they're trying to cover that up. And as I go by the Christian whistleblower or the happy heathen, I think it needs to be said that heathens are not atheists. Just because we don't believe in your God doesn't mean we don't believe in God. And our gods are too big for any one book. And we won't surrender to really, and this is a little bit dicey, but we will not surrender to what really at the end of the day are a bunch of necrophiliac, cannibalistic vampires. And with that, that's all I got. I'm ready to roll. I mean, you guys are big time.
For your opening.
Okay. Horrible opening. At least he did kind of address Christianity, whereas Andrew did not. But nothing he really said defends the claim Christianity is false or Christianity is not true. So I don't know where they found this guy. Maybe he's got numbers, but I'm not impressed. This is a very poor outing. He admits he's not an atheist, so thank goodness. He doesn't. All right, so see if I can.
Jesus was not a Pharisee. There's no evidence he was a Pharisee. Jeff says, yeah, Pharisees, really tens of thousands contributor who is not because they fall right.
That he did exist, but that is he the son of God? Is that the argument? So you're saying, Jeff, I guess I kind of want to elaborate on that for a couple minutes. That God,
but that would prove any of my claims because they fall right in line with your claims, right? Of your tale of the origin story, and I'm happy to refute any.
No, they don't, Andrew, and you know that, and the burden of proof is on you to defend that Christianity is true, not for him to disprove any claims you may have for that proposition.
Any of the things that you have a problem with when it comes to Christianity. With that, I'll yield the rest of my time.
Well, that was good. You guys both spent 5 minutes. Now, we have a lot to discuss, and I think one of the most important ones, and I'm sure Jeff wants to get at this, but I think Jesus, this just went viral on the Joe Rogan show, Jesus being objectively real. Now, I think I would agree with Andrew that there's obviously other religions, they say that he did exist, but that is he the son of God, is that the argument? So you're saying, Jeff, I guess I kind of want to elaborate on that for a couple minutes, that you think he's objectively did not exist. Andrew, what do you have to, I guess, prove, that Jesus existed? I think that's...
I have scholarly consensus, and Jeff does not. In fact, one of the scholars that Jeff notably references quite a bit also claims that Jesus himself, it's actually foolish to believe that the person who was Jesus Christ did not exist. I mean, that's mainstream scholars agree on this. And so there's more scholarly evidence and agreement of Jesus of Nazareth than there is for Socrates, with more evidence.
They don't really agree. They agree he existed, but you can find John Dominic Crossan saying he was a Jewish Mediterranean peasant. You can find Marcus Borg saying he was a spirit person. Bart Ehrman says he's a failed apocalyptic prophet. You can find cynic sage. You can find rabbi, yes. You can find Pharisee, yes. I think that was Chaim Maccabee that argues for that. Magician, whatever E.P. Saunders' position was, they all disagree on what he was. It's just, oh, this guy existed. Yeah, we agree on that. Andrew doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Evidence for that we do for Socrates, who has no written works at all. Where's any of Socrates' written works, Jeff? Where are they?
Well, I'm not talking about Socrates. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. And I was a minister for 20 years full time. I'm a Bible college graduate. I have over 100,000 hours of study in the biblical text. So I take everything back to the biblical text. And my question, no matter how you were trying to spin it, Andrew, is simply this.
Mm-hmm.
If Jesus was real, we should be able to have a extra biblical, non-Christian verification
We do.
of Jesus.
We do.
You give me one
Yeah, it's called the Shroud of Turin. It's a
The Shroud of Turin. Oh my gosh. Oh, he thinks the Shroud of Turin is real. Okay, that's not scholarly consensus, Andrew, but okay.
biblical material consideration, which is unexplainable via scientific method of any type whatsoever. The imagery, which is in the Shroud of Turin from the image of Christ, it is non-replicable by any scientific methodology to date. It was impossible for the time. You cannot prove any way scientifically that this could ever have been made in the time of which it came into mainstream discovery in France. You can't do it. It's impossible. That is an extra biblical material piece of evidence, Jeff.
Are you trolling me right now, or are you serious?
I'm serious.
Well, I didn't know that you would go this way, but with any amount of study, you can find reams of scholars that will testify that the Shroud of Turin could not possibly be the burial shroud of the Jesus character.
Based on what?
Based on time. The time, it's way, way too old to be the Shroud of Turin. I think the best evidence shows that
Carbon dating, historical evidence. So I think the Shroud of Turin first appeared in the 1400s. No mention of it anywhere in history, and it just suddenly pops up. How hard do you think it would be to preserve something like that? And why would there no mention? And also, why would it be formed at all? How does Andrew think this was formed? What is his argument for how this was formed? Magic? This is hilarious that Andrew's, I guess Atlantis is more laughable, but yeah, that's pretty laughable.
Shroud is actually...
Wait, real quick, Jeff, you say it's actually... I thought the argument more was that it's not old enough. So you're saying the Shroud of Turin is too old?
No, I misspoke if that's what I said.
Okay,
I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. No worries. You just said that. No, you just said that. And I thought the argument is that it's much younger. You said it's older. I was like, that doesn't sound
it's
right.
much younger. And I've actually done a lot of study on that. And in my conclusion would be that the best explanation of the Shroud of Turin is that it's actually the burial shroud of Jacques de Molay. The timing's right. The dating is right. If you look at that picture, if you look at the representation that's on that shroud, and you look at the representation.
Okay. Oh wow, that's great. That's some great speculation, right? Just like if we look at the Atlantis and the starships, we can also correlate something to Arianism as well, Jeff. But the thing is ultimately, well, this is your belief. It's your belief structure.
It doesn't matter what he believes about Atlantis, Andrew. That doesn't demonstrate Christianity is true. Oh my gosh. You would get trounced with somebody that knows what they're doing.
Sure, Jeff, I'm sorry.
No, you're telling me what my belief structure is?
Yeah, I asked you to elaborate on it, and you won't because you're embarrassed.
He doesn't need to elaborate on his belief structure, Andrew. Oh my gosh. You don't win debates this way. You don't. Andrew, have a scored debate. Have a professionally scored debate with somebody qualified to debate, and you'll find out.
By it, Jeff. So the thing is,
you can say it's my belief structure. It's not.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, so when it comes to the Shroud of Turin,
why don't you ask me what my...
Okay, did Atlantis exist, Jeff? Did Atlantis exist, Jeff?
Yes, I think so.
You think so? And that's based on your expert opinion, right? Because you're an expert.
So they have subscriber only mode in the comments, or I would be tearing up Andrew in the comments. But I'm not going to subscribe to the guy. Give me a free membership, Andrew. So let's see what this goober of a moderator does.
Real quick. No. When you say Atlantis, I just want to clarify this. Are you talking about a civilization that existed before the flood? Because
Okay, no. Again, whether the flood happened or not does not prove Christianity is true or false, except under an inerrantist view of the Bible. If one part of it's true, then all of it is false. If one part of it is false, then all of it is. At least as far as the supernatural things go. What the moderator should be doing now is saying, no, Andrew, we need to talk about whether Christianity is true. What is your defense of that? And instead, he's allowing Andrew to guide the conversation on unnecessary matters.
Yes,
So
this would
what
be
I guess-
pre-cataclysm. Pre-cataclysm.
Yeah, obviously. So do you agree? Can we agree though, Jeff? Do you think there was a great flood at some point and that everything was flooded out?
Yeah, I
do you
think
agree
there's
on that?
objective, empirical, anthropological and geological evidence.
Now, why would I bring this up? I bring this up.
Andrew, he asked me a question. Why don't you hush? for a
Why don't
minute?
you shut up, Jeff, while I'm talking?
Okay,
So the
let's
thing
be
is,
cool. Let's
stop
be cool.
spurging, Jeff.
Let's be
Stop
cool.
spurging.
Mr. Daugherty is correct, and the moderator should have jumped in. Andrew should shut up because Daugherty was asked a question, and he's answering it. Andrew needs to shut up. This is his whole shtick. And, I mean, is this entertaining? Because if this is what Andrew constantly does, it would just irritate me. It's just, you're not worth watching. You're not worth listening to. I may as well watch road rage shows and stuff like that if I want to see stupid people.
Let's be
Jeff,
cool.
stop
Come on,
spurging,
come
Jeff.
on, let's be cool.
You
Now-
ever talk-
I'm just trying to explain because he
And
asked me a question first. He
Hold on,
asked
hold
what does this have to do with it? So I'm trying to explain it.
Cool.
Trying to explain what it has to do with it. So just so you know,
wants to tell you what I
he
believe.
says
Answer my
I'm
question.
not
So let's
gonna.
hear Andrew.
Yeah,
Let's
so
hear Andrew.
anyway,
Let's speak, Jeff. Everybody's gonna get a
the
chance to
reason I
speak.
bring this up
He
is
asked me a
because
question,
Jeff
they cut me
says,
off.
yeah.
Just
So
wait,
the reason
wait.
that I bring this up at all is because Jeff claims that he's a scholar. Jeff claims that he's a scholar and that he's sourcing his hundreds of thousands of hours in biblical evidence, which you don't even believe he has. But what he claims he's sourcing as 100,000 plus hours from his scholarly position. I need you to understand that scholars also often discredit themselves. They discredit themselves by giving you discoveries that aren't actually discoveries, that are based in nonsense. And so that way we can test their methodology. In this case, I think that Jeff, who's making these incredible claims, like, I think the Shroud of Turin comes from blah, blah. So what? What makes you the expert, Mr. Guy who believes
A lot of
Atlantis
people make that
exists?
claim, to be fair.
Yeah, okay, well, let's find out. Let's find out where the expertise goes.
Well, let's see, Jeff. So,
All
so
right.
the flood and
What did you
Atlantis
ask me
decided-
before Andrew cut me
Well,
off?
Well, I was kind of wondering what is, I guess, in your mind, that was a lot of writing, but, is that what you consider Atlantis, the civilization before the flood? I guess, what is, if you think that there's Atlantis, let's just kind of.
Is Andrew polluting God's temple, which is his body?
What is your general idea of what it was?
Yeah, even though Andrew says this is my doctrine, I have no idea what he's talking about. I do believe there was an Atlantis, and I do believe that there was a great flood. Now, can we empirically prove it? Probably not. But yeah, I do believe there was a great flood, and I do believe Atlantis did exist.
And this is why this is important for us to bring up. I need to understand what your methodologies are for coming to the conclusion that Atlantis ever existed.
No, you don't, Andrew. And Daugherty should not be allowing him to get away with this. It is irrelevant to the debate topic. Andrew is not winning, and neither is Daugherty. Oh my God, I don't know how much longer I can put up with this. This is just stupid on both sides. And the mod's not helping. The mod should be, his job is to keep it within the debate, confines of the debate.
The only reference found is from one source, as far as I'm aware, which is Plato, who was also talking in a broad, sweeping sense about republics and all sorts of things in the abstract. So I would actually like to know what Jeff Daugherty's methodologies are for this. As the scholar, Jeff Daugherty, that's very important, I think.
This is actually a big arguing for 20 minutes about Atlantis.
Do you agree that a key tenet?
That is true.
Okay, I guess he finally said something. Why are we arguing about this?
So
That is
I'll
true.
respond.
That
Do
is
you
true.
agree that a key tenet of Christianity is faith and belief? That's a key tenet.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. But you say, I believe in Atlantis, right? It's a belief.
No, I didn't say I believe in Atlantis.
You literally just said that to Alex
I
Stein
said
live.
it's possible that there is Atlantis, but we can't prove it empirically.
So you don't believe it.
Okay, enough about Atlantis. Enough about
Exactly.
Atlantis. All right.
Yeah, I do think he did say he believes Atlantis existed.
Well,
Right,
actually,
right.
what we're talking about is belief. We're talking about what makes belief.
You're right.
What makes belief?
No, you're supposed to be talking about whether Christianity is true or not. Skip ahead a little.
I'm not talking about I know you have a $500 debate course and you're the blood debater, but the blood sport debater. But when I say empirical, it's easier, Andrew, just to ask me what I mean than to go off on these things and tell me what I mean. When I say empirical,
What? See, I would flip it back to Andrew and say, what is your methodology for determining Christianity is true?
I mean not opinion based, that there's some facts for it, some objective. I use the word empirical. I think that's correct in the English language. I don't see any objective empirical facts where I can point and say, oh, yes, Atlantis was real.
Mhm.
But we're talking about Christianity.
Mhm.
And since you're talking about faith, let me ask you,
Yeah.
is faith that Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins and rose again the third day, is that sufficient enough to make you a Christian in your mind, since
No.
we're talking about faith?
No.
No?
No.
So you're faith and works guy, Andrew?
Yeah. So I'm an Eastern Orthodox, right?
Mhm.
We have I think you're talking about perhaps penal substitution atonement. This is
What I'm
this is
talking
very
about
heavily
when you say
yeah.
Christianity,
Mhm.
the people that hear you,
Christianity.
So Andrew's pretty much a jerk. He will insult and condescend to people, and is smoking a bad act? The Christian, and if I think about it, I'll link it in the comments or something once I finish streaming. The debate teacher who was a Christian, he brings up how Andrew does not act like a Christian. So it's not just my opinion. And, it would be my wife's. She's a Christian. She would agree with this, and some others. So are you acting in faith, Andrew?
Is not a
here's
mind
something
state.
else.
Listen, I need you to understand that the distinction between how we view Christianity, and I don't speak for the church, okay? Yeah, and if anybody in the church wants to correct this, or somebody who's higher up, which is everybody, they're welcome to. I can just give you my understanding. So the understanding is Christianity itself is not just a state of mind. It's not just a state of, I believe in Christ, so therefore all things good. It's a process towards what's called theosis, the idea of participating in the energies of God. That is theosis. That is what the root of Christianity is about from our worldview, not about, I just believe that Jesus Christ died for our sins, and so now everybody's happy and happy as can be. I think that it does require more than that there is more to it than that, yes.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding you, if someone, according to Romans chapter 10, verses 9 and 10, confesses with their mouth that Jesus is Lord, believes in their heart that God raised him from the dead, Romans 9 and 10 says they will be saved. But if I understand you correctly, Andrew Wilson says, no, that's not
Well, you
true.
can't unfortunately for you, what you're doing is you're cherry picking. So the Bible's holistic and self-referencing. So anytime you point out anything, literally anything, I guarantee you that I'll be able to pull scripture which agrees with me. Jesus also built a church, and he came to leave us a church. And he's very specific. In fact, all of the things which you're referencing in the New Testament are letters to Christ's church. That's what all the apostles, that's what they were. That's what Matthew was, and Mark and Luke, and all of it was all letters to the church. And what they were trying to convey is how the church has to conduct itself. The belief in Jesus Christ has a guiding principle and Christian ethics behind it. And more, it has theosis behind it. It's not just a matter of a mind state. It's much more complex than that.
So can you give me a biblical...
Real quick, Jeff, because we're talking about this. Now we're talking about the Bible. Let's actually get on the Bible. Let's talk about Constantine's influence on Christianity. I'd like you to actually elaborate on that, Jeff, and then, you can move about that.
Constantine's influence has nothing to do with the truth or falsity of the claims of Christianity.
Okay, I think we really need to get back to that because that's very, very important. I would like to know the Bible text that refute Romans 10, 9, and 10. We
can get it.
It's not a refutation. What I'm saying is that you're missing on the key points of synergy. Like you do this with Paul too. You say, well, Paul, you said this to a girl in a 2016 interview. You were like, Paul was basically telling women to go make him a sandwich, right? Like, shut up and go make it. Okay, well then so was Peter, because Peter affirms everything Paul said about submission to your husband. So the thing is like Paul did not come and change the continuity of the Bible. Peter reinforces exactly what Paul is saying. So but you just omit that. And so what I'm saying to you, well, you didn't agree then. So what I'm saying to you, yeah, you do now. So what I'm saying to you is that these referent points that you have, you're missing out on these keys, which is if you can point to Romans and say, here's what I think it means. But absent
it's not what I think it means. That's what the text says.
The rest of what the teachings of Jesus Christ and the apostles were, you don't get a clear picture. That's not how it works, man. First of all, the Bible's a liturgical book. It's not even made for the layman. It's good for the layman to read it.
Really?
Yeah, it's good for the layman to read it.
And why does your church say they shouldn't read it without the commentaries?
They don't.
They do.
They don't. They tell you to read your Bible all the time. In fact, the Eastern Orthodox Church, you do more Bible reading than you do inside of a Protestant church. Ask me how I know that, Jeff? They tell you to read it all the time. They explain to you all the time. And the reason that they do say, look at footnotes from like the Eastern Orthodox Study Bible, things like this, or talk to priests, is because they can give you something very valuable, which you're not giving people: context. Contextualization, the understanding of apostolic succession, how these things have been divinated out over 2,000 years. This is a complex, very complex formula. It's not like just as easy as I have a mind state, therefore saved.
I'm sure people like Bart Ehrman are just idiots. Like, you couldn't go to them and get what you could from some guy that somebody laid hands on, and somebody laid on hands on that person, and somebody laid hands on that person, and supposedly it goes all the way back to the apostles.
Well, you have a right to your beliefs, you have a right to your opinions, but I don't care if people are Christian or not. I do care, but I'm not here to try to change anybody's faith. That's their right. But I think they deserve to have all the information. And when you say that Romans 10:9 and 10, if you follow Romans 10:9 and 10, and it doesn't give you salvation, I think that's what will surprise a lot of people. And I think that the burden is on you to find a text from the Bible to prove that. And then you go back to women. I'm in complete agreement with you. The Bible is horribly misogynistic. Paul was misogynistic. Peter was misogynistic, 100%. And I don't understand why ladies that read that will still go in and give their money. I was an evangelist for 20.
Oh my gosh. Nothing to do with the falsity of Christianity.
years. I traveled church to church to church, and every single church I was in,
no, it's not the fault. This is not a fault. This is a thing which is built into human beings. If you see a hot chick, it can be very distracting. And so what you're doing is you're creating an elimination of distraction. It's not the fault of women, but it's not the fault of men. It's basic ontological hardwiring, right? Men want to stick the PP in the V, right? Pretty simple. The thing is like the controlling lust is one of the tenets of Christian ethics. And so, of course, inside of church, they tell men also to dress modesty. Men aren't.
If I had hair, I'd be pulling it out right now.
Allowed to go in all buff with tank tops on and big muscles hanging out everywhere and be distracting, right? Because that could create distraction. Some churches, women can dress like harlots too. What's your point? Those aren't real churches. What I'm saying to you, hang on, Jeff, I'm almost done. What I'm saying to you is that just like with men aren't allowed to go in and be distracting to women who are practicing the faith. Women aren't allowed to do it either. The guidelines are completely, from your view, would be egalitarianism. Neither of you can do this. Neither one of you.
And I agree. But again, you're putting words in my mouth is the way I hear, because I'm not saying, I didn't talk anything about.
No, Jeff, no. See, Andrew thinks he wins if he distracts you. That's what he's like. He's a magician. He's going to say, oh, here's the debate topic here. But look at this hand. Nothing behind my back. Nothing up the sleeve. Oh my gosh. No, every time he distracts you, you need to know. Andrew, what are you saying that makes Christianity true? What's your methodology? How do you do it? Because Andrew has nothing, as far as I could tell.
How women dress in church. I talked about you telling them they can't speak in church.
Yeah.
I talked about, let me finish, please.
Yeah.
I talked about you telling them that they have to be staying at home. I talked about you telling them that they can't, I'm talking about the Bible, that they can't have any authority over men. I'm talking about Paul saying that it wasn't the man that sinned, it was the woman. These are the things I'm talking about, not the silliness.
Okay. Pull you out of a fire. Why? Because you know a general.
All right, I'm getting tired of this. I'm just going to kind of skip through and see if they ever actually get on topic.
Rule, which is that men generally are a lot stronger than women. And so if you have to take the gamble, you want to make.
No.
Salvation?
No, I just got done telling you our church does not make salvific claims. So the way that we would view this, right? Again, I'm not a speaker for. I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I'll explain. Okay, there are some people who can be so over the top about the things that they believe that it is obvious. It's just obvious to the beholder, regardless of denomination, regardless of anything, that they're not actually Christians. I don't even think that that's in dispute here. However, when we were talking about the Eastern Orthodox view of it, and again, I'm a layman, right? I don't have the authority of the church to teach, and I'm just giving you my understanding. Okay. From the layman's understanding, from my understanding, we're not to make salvific claims. The reason we're not to make salvific claims because we don't know the mind of God. We're not going to be arrogant enough to know the mind of God. The way that the church explained it to me, and the way that it explains it to, as far as I know, to everybody, is that you can. Some people have the truth. The truth is written on their heart, right? But you can't get the fullness of the truth absent the Orthodox Church. It's not to say people outside the Orthodox Church cannot receive salvation. We can't make those claims. Just to say that absent the fullness, the likelihood of it decreases.
Well, can you explain to me then why in the Jerusalem Council of 1672, they clearly stated that it is impossible to be saved outside of the Orthodox Church?
Yeah, so ideal. We just won't cut each other off for the rest of the debate. How about that? All right. So anyway, so back to this. I'll just tell you what I think. Based on what I've watched of even your recent content, even going back just 4 months ago to your top 10 reasons I don't believe in Jesus. You outline in that there is a Jewish conspiracy. The Jewish conspiracy is designed specifically to eradicate white people. That is what you believe.
Until Christianity reared its ugly head in the Roman Empire, and then the Roman army marched out and systematically, ethnically cleansed and genocided every single pagan population with the Roman short sword. Either you convert or you die. What a religion. You got to threaten people with death to get them. And listen, when I started my work 15 years ago, over 70% of people in America said that they were Christian. Now,
it's fine. All right. It's the Christians who want to oppress the other religions. And otherwise, we would just have like this live and let live policy. But you have a problem here with that, Jeff, which is that all of society is downstream of ethics, and ethics is informed by religion. So religion informs society, society informs the political class, meaning that the ethical framework of which your society operates based around your religion is going to be a determining factor, which means it makes it people's business. It makes it our business and your business if there's Muslim terrorists, Jeff. It makes it your business, considerable amount perhaps, okay? From Native Americans to Aboriginals to whoever the fuck you want to point to for whatever their ethical traditions are, whatever their ethical statements are.
Does Christianity support cussing, Andrew?
You can appeal to any of them that you want. I'm just asking you, which one is superior for the Western world over Christian ethics and why?
I think it'd be easier
that's not really on the top.
It doesn't matter if Christian ethics are better, whatever that means, than any secular system. That doesn't demonstrate that Christianity is true. They could be better, but Christianity could still be false.
Topic, but if you want to just answer real quick, and then we're going to get into chats here. So if you want to answer that, and then we can kind of move on.
I think I answered it. We would just go back to doing what we did before Christians ethnically cleansed and genocided us. Everything was just fine. We had a beautiful, peaceful world for the most part. And these things that he says about pagans,
We did. Do you know Roman culture? Now, maybe elsewhere there was some nice stuff going on. I think there was, but not in Roman culture. No.
This pagans did that. These are Christian writers talking about us, and of course they're not going to be fair. So it's very simple. We return to the ethics that we had before Christianity. I'm sorry if you can't wrap your mind around that, Andrew. Maybe that's too big of a concept because there's not a book telling you what to do, but that's the way that people that want to live divine, sovereign, and free think.
Yeah, there would be a book telling you what to do. It would be a book of laws, and and it happened because of essentially the declaration of a pope. So the thing is like they schismed away from the original church. This was always.
And maybe they're running because even in your Orthodox circle.
Okay, I'm done. That is flat out awful. Are people really paying Andrew money to teach them how to debate? Well, they're really just teaching him money how to distract and evade and not address the arguments at all. I'm sorry, Andrew. I don't think either one of you would be winning a score debate. I think if you had a professional judge scoring this, they would just be rolling their eyes the entire time because neither one of you really defended your position either at all or very well. I don't think Andrew defended his position at all. I think I would give the edge to Daugherty, but just barely, because at least he brought up a few things that Andrew wasn't able to refute. This Alex Stein guy, I don't know who he is. I guess I don't know which one he's associated with. Oh, there it is. Oh, so this is okay. I didn't get it. Duh. So this is actually Alex Stein's channel. I guess this originates on. So Alex does not know how to moderate a debate, in my opinion. He needs to keep it on topic. And it was if this is his mod style. Maybe they just want views, but I would rather have a cordial, as professional as amateurs like us could get, debate than have a bunch of views because the two people were just yelling back and forth at each other and not even staying on topic. At least if they were yelling back and forth at each other, they should be on topic. and they're not. So I don't know what this Alex Stein's guy goal is with this debate. You know, is he a smaller channel and he wanted to get views for Andrew Wilson? Is he larger than Andrew Wilson? So Andrew Wilson's on here to get more subs, you know. And I don't know anything about this Happy Heathen guy. But this was awful. I don't even know if this was worth my time. But I hope it was worth yours. I guess if it was worth yours, then it's worth my time. But so I hope to get on with some topics. I want to discuss the recent kerfuffle. If you don't know what that is, the Freedom for Religion Foundation recently canceled Jerry Coyne, who's a biologist. And I want to get into that. I want to get into Matt Dillahunty's responses to it, and maybe some other participants that responded to Jerry Coyne's thing. I'd like to get into some trans person issues, and truth falsity of those claims. I think I might try to get on the transatlantic call show tomorrow. So we'll see. So thank you for watching. Spur of the moment. I didn't expect to have anybody in the chat or anything. Hopefully people will watch the replays. But this debate was just simply horrible. Just, oh my gosh. This was pointless. It really was. Didn't address the topic. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to say. That's it. So, like I said, thank you for watching. Anytime you guys want to discuss things, my schedule's pretty wide open, especially during the day. So if somebody wants to have a participation thing, what the heck is that? Oh, is it over here? No. Oh, that was on my screen. So yeah, anyway, if you want to have a chat, discussion, debate, let me know. Take care.